Episode 3 of Trev's Hockey Show here on Trev TV. I'm the Trev, and if you're watching, you've earned a Too Sweet. And I had a couple ideas in mind for episode 3. One of them was going to be attempting to predict the Cup Final. Congrats to the Caps. My heart of heart was right, and I'm glad that they finally made the Cup Final for the first time in 20 years. As a former diehard Caps fan, it's a fun thing to see. I mean, last time they were in was a 4-game sweep against Detroit. But that was 20 years ago. This is now. But anyway, back to the original topic. I had a couple ideas in mind until I came across this on the NHL app, the Stanley Cup Final quiz. Now, basically, what this is how well do you know your Stanley Cup Final history kind of thing. There are 30 questions. I've only looked at the questions. I haven't looked at the answers. I figured I'd do this on the show with you. If you want to do it with me, that is. I hope you do. But anyway, they're all multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. I imagine at the end of it, there's a neat little grading system for, if you got this many right, then you're this. If you got this many right, then you're this. But here's hoping that the Trev can show off his history buff skills, if they're still there, as relates to the Stanley Cup Final. Having said that, let's do this. So moving right along, it's quiz time. Question number 1. The Vegas Golden Knights are the first team in 50 years to advance to the Stanley Cup Final in its inaugural season. Which team did it in '68? A, the LA Kings, B, the Philadelphia Flyers, C, the Pittsburgh Penguins, or D, the St. Louis Blues? See, they've only been advertising this for the last couple weeks, and I already know the answer to this one. It's D, St. Louis. Question 2. 6 players have won the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP more than once. Who is the only player to win it with more than one team? A, Wayne Gretzky, B, Bobby Orr, C, Patrick Waugh, or D, Bernie Parent. C. Number 3. Since the NHL expanded from 6 teams to 12 in 1967, which team is the only one to make it to the Stanley Cup Final in 5 consecutive years? A, the Montreal Canadiens, B, the New York Islanders, C, the Philadelphia Flyers, or D, the Pittsburgh Penguins? Montreal won 4 in a row. The Islanders won 4 in a row and lost 1. Your answer is B. Number 4. How many coaches have led 3 or more different teams to the Stanley Cup Final? A, 3, B, 4, C, 5, or D, 6? Making me think. I'm going to go with B, 4. Number 5. Since the beginning of the original 6 era in 1942, which team is the only one to lose the Stanley Cup Final in 3 consecutive years? A, the Boston Bruins, B, the Detroit Red Wings, C, the St. Louis Blues, or D, the Toronto Maple Leafs? 68, 69, 70. C, St. Louis. Number 6. Which team holds the record with 10 consecutive appearances in the Stanley Cup Final? A, the Boston Bruins, B, the Chicago Blackhawks, C, the Detroit Red Wings, or D, the Montreal Canadiens? I think there was that span between 51 and 60, where it was everybody else against Montreal, so your answer is D. Number 7. Who was the only player to score in double overtime in Game 7 of the Cup Final? A, Pete Babando, B, Mike Bossy, C, Tony Leswick, or D, Maurice Richard? That one's tough. I'm going to go on a random guess, because I think I might have read this one somewhere before. I don't remember where. I think your answer is A, Pete Babando. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If not, oh well, I'm sorry. Number 8. The Pittsburgh Penguins have won the Stanley Cup 5 times since entering the NHL in 1967. How many coaches have led them to championships? A. 2, B. 3, C. 4, or D. 5? Sullivan. Bilsma, Bowman, Johnson. D. 5. Nope, sorry. C is 4. Sullivan won it twice. Number 9. The record for most goals scored by 2 teams in the Stanley Cup Final is 56. Which teams piled up all those goals? A. The Blackhawks Canadiens, B. The Bruins Rangers, C. The Red Wings Penguins, or D. The Maple Leafs Canadiens? I think this was the 71 final between Chicago and Montreal, where it was all goals, because you had how many bona fide goal scorers? So I think your answer is A. Number 10. The Detroit Red Wings set a record by allowing just 2 goals in the final. What year did that happen? A. 1950, B. 1952, C. 1954, or D. 1998? I think that's a Sawchuck record, so I believe your answer is B. 10 down, 20 to go. Number 11. One Stanley Cup Final had every game decided in overtime. When was it? A. 1938, B. 1946, C. 1951, or D. 1983? I don't even think I know this one, so I'm going to guess. I'm going to say C. Number 12. Since the 1967 expansion, which is the only team to win the Cup by winning 4 games at home? A. The Boston Bruins, B. Detroit Red Wings, C. The Montreal Canadiens, or D. New Jersey Devils? I'm pretty sure this one is fairly recent, as in last 15 years recent. I think your answer is D. New Jersey. Number 13. Which team was the first to win the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row more than once? A. The Montreal Canadiens, B. Detroit Red Wings, C. The New York Islanders, or D. The Toronto Maple Leafs? You can already rule out the Islanders. They've only won 4, and that's it. I'm going to go with D. Toronto. 14. Who is the only coach to win the Stanley Cup 5 years in a row? A. Al Arbour, B. Toe Blake, C. Scotty Bowman, or D. Glenn Sather? Now, there's only one team that's won a cup 5 years in a row. So therefore, there's only one coach that's won it 5 years in a row. B. Toe Blake, the Canadiens. Number 15. There has been one game in the history of the Stanley Cup Final in which neither team took a penalty. Which teams were involved? A. The Bruins Blackhawks, B. The Canadiens Blackhawks, C. The Rangers Bruins, or D. The Red Wings Maple Leafs? I think they were too busy scoring goals to take penalties, so I'm going with B. Canadiens Blackhawks. Number 16. Which team holds the record for most power play goals in a game? A. The Boston Bruins, B. The Florida Panthers, C. The New York Islanders, or D. The Pittsburgh Penguins? Now, if I remember right, I remember watching Names on the Cup, and they were talking about this between the Islanders and Flyers. How the Flyers were taking so many penalties, and the Islanders kept jumping all over it. So I'm going with C, the Islanders. 17. Who was the only player to win the Conn Smythe Trophy before he won the Calder Trophy? A. Ken Dryden, B. Matt Murray, C. Bobby Orr, or D. Bernie Parent? Dryden. Number 18. One scoring record Wayne Gretzky doesn't hold is most career points in the final. Who holds that record? A. John Beliveau, B. Gordie Howe, C. Mark Messier, or D. Maurice Richard? That one's tricky, because one automatically wants to think how, but I believe it's Belleville. I believe. Number 19. Don Raleigh of the New York Rangers set a record by scoring an overtime goal in back-to-back games in the 1950 final. Who matched his record more than 4 decades later? Sidney Crosby, Paul DiPietro, C. John LeClair, or Steve Yzerman? See, they gave it away right off the bat with 4 decades. So go from 50, 4 decades to the 90s. Your answer is B, Paul DiPietro, when he was with Montreal. 93. Number 20. Who was the only goaltender to play in the Stanley Cup Final 8 consecutive years? A. Jerry Cheevers, B. Jacques Plante, C. Terry Sawchuk, or D. Billy Smith? Plante, when the Canadiens went on a 10-year run and won 5 cups in that time. Last 10. You still with me? 21. Who owns the single-year record for most points in a Stanley Cup Final? A. Mike Bossy, B. Sidney Crosby, C. Wayne Gretzky, or D. Gordie Howe? Probably Gretzky. Gretzky has a lot of records, and that's probably one of them. 22. Who is the most recent player to score an overtime goal in the Stanley Cup Final? A. Sidney Crosby, B. Jonas Donskoy, C. Evgeny Malkin, or D. Connor Sheary? I don't think Pittsburgh-Nashville went to overtime at all last year, but I know Pittsburgh-San Jose did, and I believe your answer is B. Donskoy. 23. Who holds the record for fastest 2 goals from the start of a period? A. Wayne Gretzky, B. Pat LaFontaine, C. Mario Lemieux, D. Maurice Richard? That's another trick question, and I bet it's another one of those less likely answers. B. Pat LaFontaine. That's a guess. 24. Scotty Bowman holds the record by coaching 9 Stanley Cup winning teams. How many times did he lose in the final? A. 1, B. 2, C. 3, or D. 4? 3 St. Louis, 1 Detroit. Your answer is D. 25. Which team is the last to win 3 overtime games in the Stanley Cup Final? A. LA Kings, B. Montreal Canadiens, C. New York Islanders, or D. Toronto Maple Leafs? A. LA against the Rangers. 26. Who is the only goaltender to face 2 penalty shots in the same Stanley Cup Final? A. Turk Broda, B. Grant Fuhr, C. Ed Giacomin, or D. Mike Richter? I want to say Fuhr, so I'm going with B. Guess. 27. How many coaches have never lost a game in the final? Minimum 4 games coached. A1, B3, C5, or D7? I'm guessing this one again. I think your answer is C5. I can think of 2 off the top of my head, but 2 is not an option in this. Number 28. In the 15 years from 76 through 1990, the Canadiens, the Islanders, and the Oilers combined to win the Stanley Cup 14 times. Which team won the other one? A. The Calgary Flames, B. The Detroit Red Wings, C. The LA Kings, D. The Pittsburgh Penguins? Well, let's do the math. 76 to 80 was the Canadiens, 80 to 83 was the Islanders, 84, 85 were the Oilers, 86 was the Canadiens, 87, 88 was the Oilers, 89 was the Flames. The answer is A. Number 29. Who was the last player on the losing team in the final to win the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP? A. J.S. Jaguar, B. Glenn Hall, C. Ron Hextall, D. Reggie Leach? Anaheim, St. Louis, Philly. A. Jaguar. And number 30. The original Stanley Cup was crafted in 1892. When was it retired? A. 1940, B. 1950, C. 1960, or D. 1970? I remember reading up on this a couple days ago, actually. Your answer is D. 1970. And if I remember what I read, it was because it became too brittle. So they had to craft a new one. And we made it. Let's go over the answers. So if you've written down your answers, or you remember your answers off the top of your head, let's go with it. Number 1 was D. Number 2 was C. Number 3 was B. Number 4 was B. Oh, what a good guess. Coaches were Peter Laviolette, Carolina, Philly, Nashville. Scotty Bowman, St. Louis, Montreal, Pittsburgh, Detroit. Mike Keenan, Philadelphia, Chicago, New York Rangers. And Dick Irvin, Chicago, Toronto, Montreal. That was a good guess. Number 5 was C. Number 6 was D. Made it to every final from 51 to 60. Number 7, that was Babando, when he scored at 8:31 of the second overtime for the Red Wings in 1950. Number 9 is A. In 1973, the Blackhawks and Canadiens combined for 56 goals. The Canadiens won the series 4-2. So I was wrong on the year, but I was right on the finalists. Number 10 was B. That was a Sawchuck. Told you. Number 11 was C. Oh, what a good guess. The Maple Leafs defeated the Canadiens 4-1 in the 1951 final. All 5 games were decided in overtime. 12 was D. 13 was D, when the Maple Leafs won it in 47, 48, 49, and again in 62, 63, 64. Getting good. 14 was B. 15 was D. Ooh, I got one wrong. Ooh. Correct answer was D. On April 16, 1942, the Maple Leafs defeated the Red Wings 3-0 in the game that did not have one penalty. One wrong. Ooh, that hurts. 16 was C, when the Islanders scored 5 power play goals in Game 3 against the Flyers. 17 was A. 18 was A. 19 was C, John LeClair, when he scored in overtime to win Games 3 and 4 against the Canadiens in the with the Canadiens in the 1993 final. I forgot he was a member of the Canadiens. 2 wrong. 20 was B. 21 was C, when Gretzky had 13 points for the Oilers in 1988. 22 was B. It was Donskoy. 23 was B. Least obvious answer. 24 was D. Bowman lost 3 times St. Louis, once with Detroit. 25 was A. That was 2014. The only reason I remember it was because it is 2014 and my shoddy memory being what it is. I'll take that. 26 was B. It was Grant Fuhr. Lucky guess. Lucky guess. In 1985, when he's had 2 penalty shots against the Flyers. Number 27 was C, and that was a good guess. The 2 I could think of off the top of my head, Crawford Lemaire, as well as Claude Ruel, Harry Sinden, and Cooney Weiland, all undefeated in the Cup Finals. 28 was the Flames. We did the math on that. 29 was A, Jaguar. 30, the original Cup was retired in 1970 because it was too brittle. So if you kept score, here's your quiz grading. If you got 26 to 30 correct, you are a Stanley Cup champion. If you got 21 to 25 correct, you reached the conference final. If you reached 16 to 20, you lost in the first round. If you got 11 to 15, you didn't make the playoffs. And if you got 0 to 10, you need more time in the minors. That was fun. I hope you made it all the way through. I want to thank the NHL for putting out this little quiz, making it a good topic for a good video. I hope this was a good video in your eyes, because it's a good video in my eyes. Any video I make is a good video in my eyes. But I'm biased. I would say that. I want to thank you for tuning in. Your viewership means the world to me. If you like this video, press like, hit subscribe on your way out, recommend it to a friend. And in the meantime, and in between time, keep looking out for some videos from Trev. Later.